everyone, and welcome back to your weekly gaming podcast, the GamerGuild Podcast, where we get together and round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV, and also available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. You're joining me this week alongside my fellow co-host, the Stadia embossed man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Hello, everyone.
You are a big Stadia fan still, apparently. You noticed just before pre-recording you were wearing our old jacket.
I went Sounds of Stadium match.
Sounds Stadium. You were wearing the old t-shirt and you were also repping the mug as well.
Yep, sheer coincidence, to be honest.
It's long dead, but long may it live on in your attire. You're joining us for a great show this week as we're going to be talking about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Do we need it? Does anyone need it? We'll get into all that. Our favourite platinum trophies of the year so far, and why Xbox is still seemingly struggling to get a foothold in Europe. All that and much, much more. But before we do get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here on the channel, such as this very show, our weekly live streams, our Let's Plays, first looks, and much, much more. Because we do a lot of content here, and we do appreciate every one of you who tunes in and listens or views it on YouTube. Special shout out actually to those who do listen on audio services. I know there's quite a lot of you out there and you don't really have a place to comment, so feel free to head over to the YouTube video this week and just drop a little comment in there. A couple of people have reached out recently. It's nice to see some new familiar faces both in our Discord and in the comment section as well. It's nice to know you're out there because there's hundreds of you who tune in, but we just don't get that interaction from you all.
Yeah, I was going to say the Discord. If you're on like podcast services, it's not a great place to comment. We have a Discord server. It's perfect place.
It's the best place to comment. And chat and converse, just like we do on this very show. As with most shows, Richie, this last week we played a couple of different games, both separately, independently of each other. You went back and checked out more of Ocarina of Time in celebration of its 25th anniversary. How was your second playthrough?
Well, it wasn't a second playthrough. Yes, I finished the game the first time. No, it was basically my second part of a live stream series. It's going to be sporadic when it drops, basically. When I need to do a stream and didn't have anything else in mind, I'm going to play Ocarina of Time. Went really well. Nice. I mean, I love that game. It was coincidence, to be honest, that it was the 25th anniversary. So it was quite fitting. But yeah, I mean, I'm always happy when I'm playing Ocarina of Time.
Happy coincidence.
And I have bought the N64 controller for my Switch.
So is that for the next part 3? Perhaps we'll use that and see how it plays.
Yeah, and they keep adding more N64 games to the Switch Online, and so I figured it was a worthwhile investment.
Worthy investment. Actually, speaking of controllers, look what I picked up this week in the Black Friday sale. Ooh.
Oh, nice.
A volcanic red PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, and I will say it's infinitely nicer, both in person and than the original red that they released. So this is the volcanic earth red alongside the earth blue or something.
It's got like a nice metallic.
It does. Red. The whole thing's got a really nice sheen to it, and the buttons match to the controller rather than have the white ones. Really like it. And I sold my old white one, like second hand. I still got a white one. I think I get 2 with the console. So I thought, why do I need 2 white ones? I'll sell that and make up the difference. So I sold my white one for 30, and I got that brand new 42. Black Friday sale.
I just have 2 white ones. You can probably see them
upside down.
You can probably see one of them behind me. Yeah, upside down on the charging stand. The other's directly behind it. And sometimes, you know, when you play, the reason you need 2 controllers, you're playing a game, battery runs out, you put the controller on the charger stand, pick up the next one, continue.
Yeah. No qualms there. But with Zelda, with you mentioning anniversaries, we should also point out it was the anniversary of Rise, Son of Rome this past week, and I jumped back in and played the second part of my playthrough, working my way through Rome as Marius. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Going to be wrapping out that game probably some point this week. It'll go live on the channel. Don't have a set date. And of course, join us later in the week for another live stream.
Actually, going back to Zelda briefly, when I mentioned the N64 control for Switch, bit of consumer advice. Do not buy one from Amazon. So Nintendo actually only sell it directly from their website, and the limit 4 per person.
Right.
I had an Amazon gift voucher from my birthday from my colleagues. I thought, oh, I'll use that to contribute towards the purchase. So that's why I went to Amazon first. And the only listing I could find was someone listed it for £124. Scalpers, fuck you.
Well, this. I mean, I tweeted actually about this regarding the PlayStation Portal earlier this week as well, because they're apparently sold out in most places. I think the UK is getting some replenishment later this month or start of next month, and the US is sold out in many places. But if you go on Amazon, they're on there for 200 upwards, 300, £400, because scalpers have like sub stores running within Amazon, and then It stops becoming Amazon and starts becoming
Oh,
eBay at this point.
To be honest, I think Amazon needs to sort this stuff out, to be honest. Like, you own the marketplace, you should be trying to prevent scalpers using your service.
Yeah.
Because it's just bad for everyone, apart from the scalper.
It is.
The reason I think the N64 controllers are on there is because I think when they first launched it, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were very limited in supply, and everyone was trying to get their hands on them. So scalpers obviously buying them up, sticking them on for ridiculous prices.
Mm-hmm. Tis the season. Amazon should also sort out their cloud gaming service while they're sorting out their storefront as well. But that's another story. We're here, of course, to talk about video games. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in, liked, comment, etc. so far. We do have a great show lined up for you all, as I said, and a couple of stories. It is actually a quiet week because it has been Thanksgiving in the US. So shout out, happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends stateside. And usually most of the video games industry works in like San Francisco, LA area. So no surprise it's a quiet week in games when probably all devs have down tools for like a long extended weekend. All journalists have probably done the same, if not completely taken the time off. So it's a little bit quiet. So we've got a couple of topical stories. Again, if you want to write into the show, you can do using our Discord server or drop a comment somewhere. See if we can pick it up and include it if it's relevant to the news of the week. But before we dive into the news, Richie, aside from Ocarina of Time, have you been playing anything else recently? These last few days?
Yes.
What have
Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, we're getting some traction in it now.
Oh, we're getting some traction.
How much traction are we talking? Spoiler free.
I've been trying to think of the best way to let you know where I'm at in the story.
Okay.
Without spoiling anything. Basically, I'm about to go for the second crystal.
Okay.
I've just got my chocobo.
Okay. Side mission. You could have totally missed that chocobo if you'd just cracked on with the main campaign.
So that's kind of the part of the story I'm at.
Okay.
So there's been some big events happen.
Yeah. Enjoying it?
I'm loving it. It's fantastic.
Even though it's more action heavy?
Yeah, well, I prefer Final Fantasy to be... I like turn-based RPGs, but playing an action RPG isn't actually a problem for me. It's just not necessarily what I want from Final Fantasy as a franchise. I've played other action RPGs. I've played loads of them.
So you're loving it.
I'm enjoying it for what it is. And it's definitely going to be in my probably Game of the Year list at the end of the year.
I figured it would be.
So it's like I'm enjoying it a lot.
Getting close. We'll be doing our Game of the Year discussion in less than 4 weeks, probably 3 and a bit weeks. We'll start because we doubly record them, so you guys don't miss an episode. Even though Christmas Day is on a Monday this year, so this show will go live Christmas Day. So we have to remember to say Merry Christmas to everyone.
Something to do with all the family.
It is, yeah. Gather everyone round, set the fire, open your presents with
gather them round the wireless and put on GamerGuild TV.
The wireless. Yeah, from the 1920s. All I've been playing this week is still chipping away on Alan Wake. I've actually got the platinum in it now. So I finished Alan Wake Remastered. Got that today. And I will point out, took my PlayStation Portal away with me. So I've been away to a family wedding this past weekend. This little fella helped me chip away at some trophies. Some of them are just like the ones that, you don't need to pay full attention. So I was just chilling in bed, had a podcast playing, and just used this to bash out, like, you've got to get from A to Z in less than 30 minutes. You've got to complete a section of one of the chapters without dying. So I knew the chapter all of them quite well, but I just didn't pay attention to whatever was happening in the story or what was going on around me, just survive and get somewhere in a time frame. So I did those on hotel Wi-Fi. Connect up. So for those out there asking the question, you need to be on your own Wi-Fi, you don't. Your PlayStation needs to be connected.
I know. About stuff like that.
I know.
I think we put a Facebook post out in one of the groups, and there's just so many people commenting saying, it's pointless. You can't use it when you're not in home. It's like, yeah, you can.
The sheer aggression from people who don't own this thing seemingly hate the fact that somebody else owns it. I actually wanted to...
Yeah, that's why I don't get it. It's like, I've looked at... My views on it are quite clear. It's not for me. But I can see the purpose behind it.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
How dare you buy this thing that I do not want?
So this is the most traction our channel's content's probably ever got on Facebook. It's currently got 266 reactions, which is huge, and a lot of comments. But I'm just going to read out some of the comments. So actually, I'll see if I can share the screen so folks, viewers can actually see. So you can see here, there's the post. All it was an innocent picture of Horizon Forbidden West splash screen because the display is gorgeous. And I simply said, considering it's not OLED, the PlayStation Portal's display is beautiful. That's it. Not trying to stoke flames, not trying to say anyone else's OLED's shit, like the Steam Deck or anything, or the Switch. Just purely like, this is gorgeous considering it's not OLED.
Not even a link to any of our content, so it's not even a plug for us.
It's not even oh, by the way, we talk about it on this week's podcast, which it could have quite easily been. Let's just have a look through some of the contents. People asking generic questions, you always get that. Needs paddles and back switches. Someone sending a link to a video telling them why it was pointless. The internet in Australia is too slow. But again, to clarify this, you don't need fast internet. You just need your home Wi-Fi connection to be decent enough. Obviously, if you're playing games online, you will need it. But in terms of infrastructure for a portal working, you could play a single-player game like Spider-Man in your home if you have good Wi-Fi structure.
I think that internet one is actually a fair comment. However, it's not shouldn't be considered a criticism of the device.
Yeah.
It should be considered criticism of the ISPs in Australia.
Absolutely. Michael says, PlayStation Portable, but you can't leave your house with it. 3 clown emojis. You can, Michael.
It's not even called portable.
I just did this week. Yeah, it's not even called PlayStation Portable. I did, Michael. I left this weekend with it, played several hours and got a platinum trophy out of it, so it works.
I know there's a lot of people saying just get a backbone, but the format of the screen.
I have a backbone, Richie. I'm in a position to comment on both. Guess what I'm doing now? Selling my backbone because I no longer need it, because the Portal is better in every regard. Except for, guess what? It doesn't do my text, it doesn't do my WhatsApp or a camera. But guess what? I don't need it for that. I feel like I'm going to get defensive over this thing because I absolutely adore the Portal, but it's more just the comments that don't really make sense. And we don't really usually get into this on the show because we're quite neutral. It's not worth our time, but I think some of these were just so funny. I just have to. My phone has the same quality. My Spider-Man edition was worth it. I don't know, Spider-Man edition of what, his phone? Maybe. Average. Your phone is beautiful. It's not a phone, but thank you. The people that are laughing are the ones who can't afford it. A bit harsh, but possibly true. So let me make sure I understand. The PS5 has to be on in order for it to work. I mean, yes, that is
remote play.
Yeah.
One of my criticisms of the device.
I already feel drift sticks. I saw this a few times. It's like, I don't know about you. I've never had a problem with any PlayStation controllers ever. Even my old PS2 one. Ever
had stick drift once in my entire life. Well, excluding N64. He never got stick drift in N64. The sticks just got wobbly. It was on my first set of Joy-Cons I ever owned. That's the only device I've ever had an issue with. I think some people are so paranoid by it.
It's drifting.
That they feel it when it's not even there.
Yeah.
Phantom stick drift. That'll be a solid 6.
Nads, considering the price, I'm surprised it doesn't wipe your backside.
It's not that expensive.
Point number one, why would you want some piece of technology to wipe your own ass? That's concerning unless there's a requirement for that. But yeah, secondly, we've said before in terms of the price, I think it's not fairly reasonable. If a DualSense controller costs traditionally about £65 and then a small Android tablet would cost about £100 for a really average one, you're getting them combined with the Sony kind of proprietary tech for a few pound more. That seems...
It's
about
Sony. The thing is, you're paying a bit of a premium on this because Sony know it's not going to be a massive, like, they're not going to sell millions and millions and millions of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't think it's that sort of device. So they're going to price it and need to recuperate like R&D costs and the cost to set up the factories and all that sort of stuff. So the cost of material, there's probably a bit of a decent sized markup on it.
Yeah.
But that's to cover that when compared to just material cost. But a decent screen plus the DualSense and plus all the other hardware that's in it, I think it's not too badly priced, to be honest. It's more than I personally would want to pay for what it currently does.
Yeah.
In terms of how I would use it. So that's why I don't buy one.
I
don't think it's actually poorly priced.
Yeah, and there is a reality where it'll probably be about $150 this time next year. Or if someone sells it secondhand because their internet at home isn't great, then pick it up maybe for less than that.
Just be like me and just go, look, I'm not happy for the price for what it does, so therefore I'm not going to buy one because it doesn't make sense for me to buy one.
Yeah. Michael, I will stick with my Steam Deck since it's a handheld PC. Yes, it is. It also costs probably twice as much, and good luck playing Spider-Man 2 on that anytime soon.
I think the Portal's in this weird area where it's getting classified against things like the Steam Deck and the Iron Neo and maybe even the Switch to a certain degree, but it's not really that.
It's an accessory.
Until it gets full cloud gaming support.
Mhm.
At the moment, it's just a remote play device. It is an accessory. It's like buying a controller.
A very expensive
It's a
controller.
controller that has a screen on it. That's all it really is at the moment.
It's cheaper than the DualSense
Yeah.
Edge, and you would get a lot more out of it than a DualSense Edge, in my opinion.
Unless you need the back pedals.
Yeah, but do you really? Do you really? Either way, I'm a massive fan of it. I think it's going to help me do a lot of trophy mop up. And just to drive home the message, Richie, this last week, I've not turned on my TV to play PlayStation 5. I've done it. I've done many a FIFA matches, and I've done trophy mop up for Alan Wake Remastered. And it's the screen, the quality, the performance has all been adequate, both on my home in Wi-Fi and apparently in a random hotel in the middle of the Lake District as well. Which I was worried.
That was probably a good test.
I did take it because I thought initially I was like, I'll just take my Switch. I'll just take my Switch and I'll not bother faffing around because I don't have a case for it. So leaving the house is very worrisome at the moment. Shout out to a few people who sent links to some cases in the Discord as well. But yeah, it worked on hotel Wi-Fi, and it worked on hotspot as well actually. Which ironically enough, my 5G speed was 530 meg. In the middle of nowhere, so
in the Lake District.
Yeah, I was blown away. I thought it was going to be.
You must be near a tower or something.
Yeah, I must have. I must have been under a tower. But we digress. PlayStation Portal still kicking ass, sold out everywhere. My favorite Christmas present of the year so far, to myself via my wife, and I've got it early. I know. Santa's going to be so disappointed. Santa's going to be so disappointed.
You're going to have to wrap it back up for Christmas.
Maybe the box. We'll see. Put it under the tree. But let's get into some gaming news, Richie. If you could introduce us to
the graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. And as always, every week our news is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic members of the channel who support us that extra little bit further, just like you can from as little as 99p. Down below on the YouTube video, you can click join, get early access to this very show, stickers and badges next to your name in the chat, and a couple of exclusive member videos that are up on the channel already. Richie, let's get into some news for this week. Starting off with a slightly delayed story. We do apologise because I think we recorded super early last week because we went out for your birthday celebrations, and in turn we missed out on some Last of Us news that dropped on. I think it was like probably the Saturday morning or late Friday evening. In fact, it was just in the bag, the episode, and then the news dropped. So we're going to cover it this week because we're both big Last of Us fans. We have a Clickercast podcast that covers the show, so it seems fitting that we put that in. And as I said, it's been a quiet news week anyway, so let's get into it. Story number one, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered has been announced and confirmed by Sony and Naughty Dog, and it will be arriving quite soon. Not in time for Christmas, but just a little bit afterwards. January the 19th, 2024. Reading direct from the PlayStation blog, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is designed to let you dig deeper into both its development and mechanics. Chief among these is a brand new model called No Return, a roguelike survival mode designed to let players prove their mettle in randomized encounters and experience The Last of Us Part 2's combat in a fresh experience. The mode will host a bunch of playable characters from you to choose from throughout the Last of Us franchise, who each come with their own traits to suit different playstyles. Players will chart their own course on each run, choosing between various stealth and combat encounters that will pit you against a range of enemies with unique twists that can add unexpected factors and given any encounter. So that's just one of the points. So we're going to probably dig into it and break into it piece by piece, Richie. To start off with, we'll just go with the overall remaster, because there are a couple more bells and whistles we should point out. It's obviously improved visuals, improved performance, 4K output, all that kind of stuff. Something referred to as the Lost Levels, which is also part of the game that didn't make it into the actual main campaign. You can free explore them. They've got free guitar mode in, so everyone loved the guitar mode in that game. You can do that one. But I think the roguelite element is the biggest chunk of the title. And they have also confirmed there is an upgrade path for people who already own the game. So fear not, you're not going to be asked to pay the whole whack all over again. But let's break it down, Richie. To start off with, Last of Us has had many remasters at this point. It is one of Sony's flagship franchises. Are you surprised we're getting a remaster of this so soon? Or is this fitting in with Sony's business model now? Just 2 months away, this game.
I'm not actually surprised because there isn't a native PS5 version yet. This will be it. Mm-hmm. And there is a native PS5 version of Last of Us Part 1.
Yep.
So I think what they're trying to do is get these two in line. So it does feel early, but it also feels like it would come anyway at some point, so they might as well just get it done in some ways. I know there's a lot of people out there going, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're bringing it out already." It's like, well, you don't have to buy it; it's fine.
Mm.
And actually, now we know the upgrade price. I think it's actually that softens the blow a lot because
Yeah.
it's $10 to upgrade, and based on some of the stuff they've announced, I think that you could look at that $10 and go, "Well, that's just DLC for The Last of Us Part 2."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, albeit not story quite like Left Behind.
Extra levels, new modes, upgraded graphics. It's DLC. It's £10 DLC. I think
That's a acceptable way of looking at it, I would say. Obviously, it's not. The thing with Part 2 is it already looks so good. I think they would be mistaken not giving an upgrade path, because Part 1, we've got to remember, that was like a decade-old game being remade using Part 2's engine. So that was quite a big overhaul required, and you were essentially getting a new game in all intents and purposes by the story. However, with this one, 2 was like a late PS4 generation game. It was one of the last titles to release.
2 looks better than a lot of PS5 games.
Yeah.
However, it is restrictive because to get it looking that good, it did have to lock its frame rate to about 30 frames per second. Now you're unlocking like 60 frames per second, which can smooth out the game, especially for things like the roguelike mode.
Mm-hmm.
That could be actually when you're very focused on the combat element of it. I think that could definitely be a benefit.
A lot of stuff going on screen at once, especially.
But I just kind of think as well, if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, wait for the remaster to come out. If you have and you want to play it again, I actually think it's just probably worth the money.
Yeah, I think especially for $10. We don't know what the UK pound euros equivalent is, but it's usually.
And you also have the option to just buy the PS4 version. You can probably pick up for maybe 30 quid or something, 20, 30 quid.
Yeah,
off Amazon.
Second-hand PS4 version.
Not even second-hand, probably.
If you want it the cheapest, second-hand PS4 version, and then pay the upgrade path. Should be quite interesting. But again, let's get into the meat of the added content. So this is what Naughty Dog, I guess, have probably had a discussion and crunch with Sony of like, what can we do to add value to this? My biggest disappointment is it doesn't come with any mention of factions. I think that would have been the perfect bundle. This game is £70, full price again. You get the best version of Part 2, and this is going to kickstart off our online multiplayer. But evidently those ducks didn't line up.
Yeah, I think that was probably the plan at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a case of this is done, Factions is nowhere near, so why hold this back if Factions is going to be a 2025 earliest game?
Yeah. Is there something to be said about it's a shame in a way they didn't hold it back for season 2 of the show? Because we saw a lot of hype off, we saw the sales skyrocket of Part 1 once the HBO TV series began.
Maybe, but
again, do you think it's just too long?
This might just be a financial decision. We've got this thing; it's ready to go. End of the financial year, just get it out there. A last push. I think having that synergy with the show would be nice. And to be honest, I think in some ways, the longer you delay it, the more quiet the voices, dissenting voices, it's too early you're going to be. But I think Sony's probably they've thought about when we're going to get them voices regardless. So they've made the decision probably on financial terms. If the game's done, what's the benefit of holding back versus the benefit of just getting it out?
Well, it's also that take, I guess, because it's out. There's nothing to stop people just playing it when the season comes around. So, and it might be a bit more reasonably priced. So if it's £70 brand new, but then if season 2 of the show doesn't come out for another year and a half, perhaps they haven't even started shooting yet, then the game's probably bargain bin price at that point. Then people are still going to go and buy it.
It could also be Sony looking at their content library for early next year, because this year was quite dry. First half of the year was quite dry from Sony.
What about
second half of the year has been pretty good. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's quite crap. They might be just looking at early next year and going, we'll probably need something in there. We have it. If it's ready to go, let's just
get it out.
Yeah, it's probably not being viewed as a absolute huge important title because it is a remaster, not a remake. It's a remaster of a game that didn't come out that long ago. So it might just be a case of, well, we need something in January. Here we go.
Kickstart the air off. Yeah. Why not? Absolutely. And there is something to be said that could be hype, because we know the Game Awards is the beginning of next month. And last Game Awards, if you remember, Neil Druckmann was on stage talking about, telling us in the summer just gone, we would hear more about factions, and we didn't. We got like one piece of concept art. There is something to be said that if Neil Druckmann's on stage next month at the Game Awards and saying, right, here is factions, it's going to be coming out like back end of 2024 perhaps, that's like a nice bit of hype heading into January, immediately after December, with, oh, you've got the best version of essentially our top tier game ready to go. And it's available in such a short turnaround time.
And it has happened before that they double dip. They go to the Game Awards. We're going to talk about The Last of Us. Come on stage, talking about The Last of Us remaster, and his factions.
That'll be hype.
Yeah.
Because it's getting overdue now. That the joke is they keep remastering things without putting out anything new. And if you look at the cadence of Naughty Dog releases, that's just not true. Because The Last of Us originally came out the second part in 2020. So it's actually only been like 3 and a bit years since we got a full-blown entry. And yes, they've had the remasters. They do. And again, some of the best looking games ever. But it's interesting. The thing that intrigues me the most is the Lost Levels comes with developer commentary. So they're actually going to, I don't know how it's going to work, but they're going to essentially talk over when you're exploring parts of the game that didn't make the cut.
I've got a feeling that what they're going to be is they're not going to be fully integrated into the story. They're just going to be
like actual
extra in the menu, extra content. Here's a few levels you can jump in, and then I've developed a commentary about what the plans for the level was or something. You never know. Some of the stuff in their content might end up in the TV show.
Yeah. Very, very much so. Be interesting to see, because I think the kind of back half of the game, which takes place, is it Santa Barbara you end up in, like the West Coast of America. I think like it's a very different setting from the majority of the game, and it does almost feel like another chapter of the game starts and then it ends, and you kind of feel like the game was going to be a lot longer, but for reasons they had to cut it back. Yeah,
there's a faction that's introduced in that Santa Barbara area.
Rattlesnakes, that's literally right?
Rattlesnakes. Yes, I can't remember what they were called, but they were just introduced. You blitz through the base, and that's it. They're done. They don't really have that much in terms of lasting impact on the story compared to like some of the other factions you encounter.
But it feels like they could have done if the game went on for
longer. It almost feels like, we're in a new part of the world. We need a new faction. Let's just give you one. Just
throw them in there.
Yeah. There's more. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they expanded on more. It's probably more from Abby's point of view rather than Ellie's.
Yeah, well, that is the part, spoiler free, where you start to explore certain characters a little bit more. But the biggest thing, I think the part that's going to get the most attention, is this roguelike mode. Now, I'm not a big fan of roguelikes. However, I am a huge fan of The Last of Us. So this is one of those genres that I can give it a pass because I love it so much. Exploring maps of The Last of Us Part 2 in like a constant, just see how long you can survive, sounds fun to me. Now, in the trailer they show clips of running around Jackson with clickers and monsters attacking you. That could be cool. Like in the game, again, it's very linear, story driven, but having that ability to just explore the world of The Last of Us, and not almost like a free roam, because you are going to be scared out your ass with clickers and runners jumping out at you, but having the freedom to run around and maybe go in and out of like the barn area, where the play area is, but without having to play the story, throw snowballs and play with kids, like actually hide and survive and scavenge for things. It's just a shame it's not multiplayer still. Like, I would love doing that with you or some other people, but time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably going to be co-op, though. I think it's just going to be a single player. They'll have leaderboards and stuff, I imagine, but and maybe some challenges or that kind of stuff. But yeah,
it's enough to satiate the audience, I think.
It's a fun addition to justify the upgrade.
Yeah. And anyway, you're just going to sit and rock out in the free guitar mode, right?
Probably not.
Doing your best Santo.
I didn't really play the guitar in The Last of Us that much because it's one of them weird things where I don't actually like playing guitars in video games because I can just grab one.
You did that with such ease. You're like a music professional.
Yeah, so it's like, if I want to play guitar, I'll just play guitar.
Yeah. Either way, the biggest surprise of all this is you don't have to wait very long. Like I said, 19th of January, it's rolling around very, very soon, less than 2 months away. So it's always good when we get surprises with such a short turnaround because it feels like you don't have to wait patiently for them. And as we know, gamers as seen by the social media comments we looked at earlier, and have very little patience. Moving on, though, actually perfectly moving on to the second story of the week, tying in with lack of patience. Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a Ultimate Edition confirmed and announces pretty much next week, give or take, 5th of December. Ultimate Edition comes both physically and digitally, giving the Phantom Liberty expansion folded into the main story and released once again. Now, this was confirmed by CD Projekt Red quite a while back. It was one of their CEOs or the directors of the board said, we've done it with all of our games in the past where they always get like a game. Once we're finished with the game, you get a Game of the Year edition. Ironically, this game's nominated for the ongoing Game of the Year, and they're just about to release their wrap-up, everything's finished edition. Richie, you finished Cyberpunk. You didn't get the Platinum, did you?
No, I was playing on Stadia.
Of course,
and
of course.
Trophies on Stadia were always terrible.
And of course, you don't technically own it now, right?
No.
But for me, someone who stopped playing for glitch reasons, this is what I've been waiting for. An Ultimate Edition.
I kind of want to have the game again myself. I'd like to have in my library. The only reason I'm not going to buy it is because I don't think I'm going to be playing it anytime soon. It's one of them games, like how I recently finished Starfield and go, right, I've ran through the story once. It's going to fall into the like Skyrim for me, where every few years I'll just pick it up and play again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think Cyberpunk. I'd like to be in that kind of thing. I'm quite happy to wait for this. Either get a price drop.
Yeah.
We actually have a price that's $49.99 from Amazon.
Nice.
A price drop to maybe sub 30 and maybe in a year or two's time, or PlayStation Plus stroke Game Pass game.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. It's nice because of all the issues. Again, we talk about redemption stories with Cyberpunk quite a lot, and I think having a complete edition out on next gen only. This isn't coming out on PS4, Xbox One, for obvious reasons. But yeah, this is like, again, someone who owned it then didn't own it and got stuck halfway through. I never got to finish the story, and the story was always the standout part in all of the reviews. Because regardless of performance issues,
I loved it.
The story's great.
It was so good.
So yeah, having it all together with the Phantom Liberty expansion, which was what, like £25, like just a few months ago. So
something like that, yeah.
So it's kind of like half of the price of the game. And again, you and me both got a full refund of this game via Google Stadia, so we got all of our money back. So I've not lost anything playing Cyberpunk. In fact, I've still got a free controller sat around somewhere that I got with the game. But that aside,
if I was to like go right, I want to play Cyberpunk again now, that £50 wouldn't put me off at all. I'd just pay it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'm happy to wait. I've got plenty of things I could be playing as well.
Well, this is where my kind of dilemma going into December. I know we have such problems as gamers, don't we? Now I'm finished with Alan Wake Remastered. My natural instinct is go straight into Alan Wake 2 because it's one of the best games of the year, apparently. So to get that out in the bag before our Game of the Year discussion seems like a smart choice, because then I will have played a breadth of big titles for this year. Cyberpunk, I feel like, can wait. But then there's also Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which is kind of like, it's got my interest, but I feel like Ubisoft have just give up on marketing that game at all. It comes out the same day, I think, give or take. Yeah, I've seen no mention of it anywhere.
When a game that came out as a kind of a bit of a flop out the gate a few years ago is getting more marketing than your brand new like IP tied in title, what you doing, Ubisoft?
I mean, we've been saying that for quite some time, but Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition, December 5th. If you are interested, let us know in the comments below if you'll be going back to Night City Tombs, and we'll see you over there. Speaking of trophies, actually, platinums for Cyberpunk and Alan Wake aside, I wanted to have a little chat this week, Richie, about just the games that we've played this year and our platinum trophy lists. Just kind of reminiscing and looking back at what we've played this year and maybe some of the best achievements and or trophies that we've enjoyed. How about you? Start us off. What's been your most enjoyable platinum trophy of the year?
I've only got 2.
You've only got 2.
I want to preface this conversation by saying I've been an absolute platform whore this year.
Wow.
I've bounced between Switch and Xbox and PC and PlayStation. So that I've literally, when our channel, I've lived up to our channel motto: play wherever you're happiest. I truly have this year. Because between things like Octopath and Zelda on the Switch, probably might have even played a bit of Pokemon at the start of the year. I think Hogwarts Legacy, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy 16 at the moment, Sea of Stars on PlayStation. Cyberpunk, not Cyberpunk, Starfield on Xbox. Admittedly, that's plus everything else was streamed from Xbox.
Mm.
I've been bouncing around a lot, so I only tend to go for the full clear on PlayStation. I don't really bother with it on Xbox or Switch.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are your two then?
So the two, my platinums are Hogwarts Legacy and Spider-Man 2. I was going for the platinum in Final Fantasy 7, but then I went on a holiday, and by the time I came back, that like kind of 2 week period had fallen off.
Forgotten.
So I will go back at some point. I'm actually just one trophy away.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with the ecosystems where I'm committed to PlayStation trophies. Like that's like my stay at home. Happy to keep coming back to that one.
I only go for the platinum though if I'm at the end of the game and it doesn't seem like I've got 3. Sorry, I got Sea of Stars. That if I'm not that far off, or I want to keep playing the game once I've rolled credits.
Yeah, you're enjoying it enough to see it through to fulfillment. Yeah, as long as the list isn't terrible for me, I almost kind of always commit to it. Looking back at mine, I've got 7 to date. I'll possibly have Alan Wake 2, depending on its difficulty by the end of the year, if that's the one I go for, or Avatar. Starting off, I think Hogwarts Legacy back in March time, back end of March, April, I think I got that one. There wasn't much, as you said. I think Forspoken, we looked at the beginning of the year, thought we were both intrigued by it, and then the demo kind of put us off, and we
to be honest,
never went for it.
In general, looking at the games come out this year in terms of the trophy list, I don't think there was that much in terms of interesting trophies.
No.
There's a lot of get to this level. Obviously, your classic story stuff, defeat this many enemies like this. So there's only actually 2 trophies that I've pulled out, actually, that I want to give a shout out to. Since you mentioned Hogwarts Legacy, the spilled milk trophy, where I use for the Pendo and the cows.
Oh, yes, yeah, flip the cows.
Yeah, I've just found that just quite a funny thing to have in there.
Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy doing quite well, actually. We have a story of it later on in the show. We might as well bring it in now. UK charts show Hogwarts Legacy is actually back on top of the UK charts after, obviously, ages. It is now available on the Nintendo Switch. So that's skyrocketed back up to number 1, ahead of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, ahead of EA Sports FC 24, ahead of Marvel Spider-Man 2. But again, I guess one of the touch points with us reaching the end of the year, Richie, is we said quite extensively on last week's show, the week before, Hogwarts Legacy, once again, one of the, if not going to be the best-selling game of the year, probably after Call of Duty and FIFA. Absolutely shafted at the Game Awards. Not one nomination. Not one. Yeah. Not one nomination. In any category, this game did not get a single nomination, which I call absolute bullshit on.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We know the controversy around J.K. Rowling and everything, but I don't like how the game's media completely neglected to even consider. There's major outlets that just didn't touch the game at all because of it. And regardless of your views on J.K. Rowling, I think that's unfair on the developers who put the heart and soul into making this game.
Yeah, a fairly unknown developer as well.
Did what, WB?
No, their publisher. Portkey Games, isn't it? Like they've not made any titles this big before. And yet they don't get the flowers because their association to the source material, which this game was deep in development before all that shit kicked off as well. But yeah, like I listen to the IGN podcast every week. I think Unlocked, Xbox, NVC, which to be fair, it's only just came to Switch. That's one thing. And Beyond for PlayStation, and none of the panel barely even mentioned it. And it's like, I don't believe as journalists who cover this industry, and inevitably there will be some Harry Potter fans amongst it, for them not to even bring it up on their weekly news show about the industry is like, you're full of shit.
That kind of balance between like your own personal integrity and how comfortable you are playing this game with the links to J.K. Rowling versus your job as a journalist. For me, I think I actually do like the way we handled it, where every time we've talked about it, we have mentioned even just in passing, like we've mentioned there's controversy around J.K. Rowling. You're free to go look into that. Now we're going to talk about the game.
Absolutely. It's like there's how much shit goes on in the world of football, and yet we're not going to not talk about FIFA. Call of Duty.
Stop supporting Newcastle United because of Saudi Arabia.
Call of Duty literally covers warfare, like World of War, Vietnam. It's covered all things where millions of people have died across our humanity's history, and yet we play it as a video game, and yet we don't go, it's sensitive subjects, but because the author of the source material said a few dodgy things, it's again, it's a whole thing for Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
But either way, it's making money, so I'm sure the people behind the scenes don't care that much. But it would have been nice to see it nominated for something.
Yeah, I think it deserves. I don't think necessarily with how strong this back half of the year is. I don't necessarily think it's a mistake that it's not in the Game of the Year conversation. However, it probably should be a honorable mention in that conversation.
Yeah, role
but
playing,
it definitely should be shortlisted,
something like that.
Yeah, it should be definitely shortlisted somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. What were we talking about? Trophies?
Yeah, trophies.
Before getting sidetracked. Hogwarts Legacy was my first one. Jedi Survivor was my second one of the year, second platinum of the year. Really enjoyed it. It was a little bit easier than the Jedi Fallen Order game, so I was quite pleased to see I didn't have to go hunting through the terrible, terrible mini-map to find every little collectible in that one. A few little difficulty spikes, but enjoyed that one. I wanted to give a shout out to a game I played called The Light in the Darkness, which is a free game to download, absolutely free. It's an educational game. It's not the best visually or even gameplay wise. It was recommended via a PlayStation podcast I listened to. It's about the Holocaust. Funnily enough, we talk about Call of Duty and whatnot. It's actually a story that just tells a kind of journey of a small child, Jewish child in I think France during the Holocaust. And it was recommended, and it's an easy platinum as well. Just finish the game and you get the platinum trophy. It takes about 2 hours, 3 hours, basically. And I visited Auschwitz this year when I visited Poland with my wife, and we thought we have to go see that. And we played it ahead of time, going over there together. And you see, it's not really a game; it's more of an educational walkthrough. And it opened my eyes up to a couple of little pieces and made me think about what it would have been to be there at that time. And then obviously we went as well. So yeah, if you're looking for both an easy platinum trophy but also an educational insight into that time of our history, The Light in the Darkness, available on PlayStation 5. After that one, pivoting away to something completely different, was Final Fantasy 16, my first ever Final Fantasy game and platinum. Richie still hasn't got it, but he might be there by the end of the year.
I've only been playing a few weeks.
How are you finding the trophies popping so far? I didn't recall there was much. There wasn't that much difficulty. I think there's a bit of tedium at the end when it came to just a bit of grind to get certain ability of the ability tree fleshed out.
I think I'm way off really thinking about trophies, to be honest. I've had a few random ones pop. Mm-hmm. I've had one that which I did look up because in one of the hideouts there's a bar and you have to donate so much money to it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's this for? I didn't seem to do it. After I donated some money, didn't do. I did a quick Google and said, oh, it's just a trophy. It's like, oh, well, I have the money. I'll just do it. I kind of cheated though. After I paid for one round. I dropped a save. I paid for about 4 or 5 rounds to get the trophy. Okay. Then I reloaded my save.
You save scummed it. You save scummed it.
Yeah,
Little save scummer.
Is it? It's not going to impact the game, to be honest.
That's true.
If
that's
I didn't
true.
Have the sorts.
What would Clive say?
He'd be all about it.
Then a bit of a gap till Spider-Man 2 for me. I had a great time with Spider-Man 2. It was the perfect length. Do kind of wish I had something to do in New York after the fact, but it's not a games as a service, so I can't really lament that. Assassin's Creed Mirage up next. Not my most favourite Assassin's Creed ever. Feel like I enjoy the open world ones a bit more, but typical Ubisoft, the platinum trophy wasn't really that difficult. It was just a bit like collectibles, do a couple of unique things, and then ping, there it goes. And then today Alan Wake Remastered, so I enjoyed that one as well. Pretty much finished most of the story. The only thing I will give it a ding for is the trophy mop-up, collecting all the thermoses. There's coffee thermoses you've got to collect throughout the game, and a couple of other collectibles. Chapter select doesn't tell you which ones you're missing for each chapter. So out of 100 thermosi, no idea.
Oh, that sucks.
So
then you just have to go through. I had something with the Hogwarts Legacy where I think it's you had to use ancient magic on every enemy in the game, but there's no way to track which one you've missed. So I literally got a list of enemies. Yeah. I just went through.
I know that one was a bit of a pain. That's why I haven't got the platinum in Amazing Spider-Man 2 on PS3, because I think we said a couple of weeks back actually that was why it was take a photo of every enemy type. Didn't do it, but with the flask, what I did is you have to complete the game on Nightmare difficulty as well. So I went through with a trophy guide on Nightmare difficulty, and I think I missed all but one, but I knew where it was on the video I was watching. There was a bit of a glitch. got there in the end, but basically, yeah. And guess did it all in Nepal. So I just did it chilled in bed, didn't take too much pressure out of it. And that's it. So yeah, quite a quiet year for me in terms of the trophy hunt. I got 12 last year, 12 the year before, 7 back in 2020, and 20.
You got a month to get 5.
I do, yeah. 2019 I got 20, but 2018 was my 2018 was my most prolific year with 27.
Yeah, but how many of them were actually games?
Yeah,
My Name is Mail.
They were sweaty trophies back in 2018 and 19. But yeah, as a parent to a newborn child, not newborn, she's nearly 9 months old, but 7 for 2023. I'll take that. Maybe 8. We'll see. But we'll check in with our trophies.
I may get 4, depending how quickly I play Final Fantasy.
You just need to up your speed. That's your problem. Drink some Red Bull and get cracking.
It's got to do other stuff as well.
Well, we both have more than Rob. That's what we need to know. But trophies are not the end of the world, just like sales are not the end of the world. And that's probably some good news if you're a fan of Xbox, or more importantly, a shareholder for Xbox. Look into this week's reporting on hardware sales. It turns out that Microsoft might be struggling in Europe more than we first anticipated. Reading from gamesindustry.biz, we've got some updates across all sales quarters, and reading them quickly. PlayStation 5 sales are up 143% year on year, which is a massive, massive increase. Obviously, a lot of that's probably because of just stock availability. We know this time last year before Christmas, people were saying it was like scalper's paradise, wasn't it? You just couldn't get hold of one if you were in the market. So obviously now they've sorted out the stock issues. PS5's readily available. But yeah, increase of 143% year on year, which puts it on top dog on the shelf. Nintendo Switch.
Is it an increase of 143 or is it 143% compared to? Because they're very different numbers.
I don't know. You've got the article as well. You have a particular read.
I'm looking for the numbers.
Comparison-wise, though, Nintendo Switch sales down 20% year on year. Which, again, it's at the end of its life cycle, the Nintendo Switch. No surprise that it's starting to tail off as people either already have one or maybe even 2, and they're holding out for this this allure of the Nintendo Switch 2, which is supposedly going to come next year. Also, entries-wise,
I found the number. It's is up 143%, which is literally more than twice last year's sales, but it is only for October.
Yeah, from the month of October.
No, versus that's a bit.
Also, I meant October's year on year. So October 2022 versus October 2023 year on year.
That's why I was thinking I was thinking till October. I was like, that seems a lot.
That's good clarity there. Yeah, it's that's just me not being into financials and data. But then to keep in that line, then for October, Xbox down 52%. October year over year. Even with launches like Starfield and Forza, seemingly, for some reason, Xbox cannot catch a break. I don't know. Because
availability, though.
It's not available. Xbox never really had a problem with availability.
Exactly. That's why they're down.
So you mean, all right, I see what you're saying. So their numbers aren't as contrast to each other because of the availability last year.
Yeah.
Perhaps. It's one of those things, we both love our Xboxes now. Game Pass, I think we've both said many, many times, we'll probably just keep Game Pass in perpetuity unless it shits the bed and doesn't get anything.
I think it could also be the games. There's not been much reason to buy an Xbox this year, unless you're already into the ecosystem.
But what about Starfield and Forza and Minecraft Legends? They have had the AAA big hitters come out, or some of them at least.
Yeah, but most of the year was kind of. I don't think Minecraft Legends. It just seemed to come and go. Maybe that's just a case of how much we're into Minecraft, and maybe we're just out of that bubble.
But is this where because it's on Game Pass and millions of people just get it for free, so they're not, and Xbox don't talk about the sales figures, so we don't know how well it's really done, other than how many concurrent players they tweet out about.
I also trying to think of the just general buzz through social media and through YouTube and different podcasts and stuff, and you never really hear Minecraft Legends come up. And Forza is it's an expected game. It's only really Starfield for me this year that's been a bit of a standout. And actually, it hasn't made the run ashore, but that's dropped down to mixed reviews on Steam. So, but they've only had really. I'd still say Starfield's a hit, but it's quite late in the year, and it's on a down year. So it's like, what for like most of the year, what was the driving force to buy an Xbox if you didn't already have one?
Game Pass.
If you were looking, yeah, but if you're looking this year to buy a console, Game Pass is great and all, but if you're just seeing no big titles that you can't get on PlayStation, PlayStation is having the big first party titles. I don't know. I think it's been a stronger year for PlayStation than Xbox.
I mean,
so I think
the
that
sales
might be
numbers show it
reflected in
is.
these numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably reflected in this.
It does make you wonder, just like, what do Microsoft need to do? And it might come down to the reality of like things like buying
They need
ABK.
more hits.
Like next year, they will have
Yeah.
arguably Call of Duty, which is always the best-selling game of the year. They might have that in Game Pass.
I think that'll take a few years to really come to fruition, though. Because
Yeah.
I think what they're lacking is the Starfield. Things like Starfield. Redfall was a massive flop, and they had a lot resting like on Redfall. Starfield's done well, but they just need more titles like that. Where I think with PlayStation from the PS4 generation, they've got a lot of money in the bank in terms of we're expecting titles like Spider-Man 2, and it did deliver.
Yeah.
So I think you're more likely to buy a PlayStation and expecting what's to come because of the track record compared to Xbox of the last generation.
Yeah. It's kind of like customer loyalty points, isn't it? They've built up enough goodwill throughout the last 10 entries maybe. Like, it's very rare they have a miss, and usually when they are a miss, it's not direct through them, it's the second party. So like for Spoken, for example, nobody really gives them a ding for that because it wasn't made by them, it was Square Enix.
Yeah.
But
and Nintendo have the same thing. When you know Nintendo's like big first party titles are actually quite few and far between when you look at it. It's like you get a couple a year. But they usually like land very, very well when they come.
Well, this year it's just Zelda and Mario over again, right? Next year it'll be Pokemon and probably a Mario 3D game, you'd imagine.
I don't know, it depends. Next year it could be Switch 2.
Which would launch with
it could be
Mario 3D
game.
or Pokemon.
I mean, if the Switch 2 is next year, there will be a new Pokemon next year because that'd be stupid to miss it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and obviously Nintendo have Pokemon, which typically comes out every single November.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a skipped year, but usually there's a new Pokemon game every November. So
yeah,
regardless how good the game is, it's actually going to sell. So
it's an interesting one for sure. I mean, you know what? It's one of those things where Xbox is still doing well, even though they're in third place. We've said this time and time again. They are still doing well. Like they're making money in the millions, hand over fist. Game Pass is doing well.
Yeah, it feels like Xbox is ready to really push forward. It just needs to get things like Redfall needs to just be better than it is. I think Starfield arguably probably needs to be better than it is to really make the sort of work. Starfield, not a game of the year candidate, but that's the sort of game where it should be in that conversation. So it just doesn't quite. It's like the one tier below game of the year candidate for me, Starfield, and that's where I think they need to change in terms of the games that are coming out. They need to be having some more guarantees in that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we look towards the new year, they've got a couple of games in the works, right?
I'm excited for the future. I think there's definitely good things in the pipeline. But
what's the next big one? Is it going to be Avowed, do we think? I think is Avowed the next?
Is Avowed Hellblade?
I mean, Hellblade could be any time, couldn't it? But yeah, Hellblade 2, Avowed. Stalker 2 is still due, I think, imminently. Obviously, that was kicked back because of the whole war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But again, it's like we kind of don't really know. And it's weird because we are in a place where we don't know what Nintendo are doing next because we don't know what the Switch 2 is going to look like. We don't know what PlayStation are doing next beyond... Now Spider-Man's out. It's like Wolverine, right? Is Wolverine the only big game we know about?
Yeah. Well, this is why I mentioned earlier when we talked about The Last of Us. Maybe that's why Last of Us is January. If it's going to be a bit quiet for the first half of the year again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think upcoming Xbox games.
Not much, right? This is where they're all being
really.
tired.
Alan Wake 2, I think, is a good get. Although that's third party, not Game Pass.
Yeah, it's not Xbox. But either way, we'll hopefully find out at the Game Awards in a short week. Are you down for covering the Game Awards? I know I said I was potentially busy, but I might just power through if you're interested. And
yeah,
I'm asking
give it
you
a go.
live on the show.
Well, we'll have to check the schedules.
Yeah, me book some time off work basically, because it's a late night for us Brits in the UK. Right, moving on then. We'll get away from all that stuff and look at some of the other like smaller stories for the week. I'll probably skip the nitty gritty of Embracer and Knights of the Old Republic just because it's Knights of the Old Republic might or might not be dead. We don't really know.
Jeff Grubbs basically reported that no one's working on it.
Yeah, and Embracer Group with all their stuff with Tomb Raider and the layoffs that have recently happened. They've done a lot of restructuring behind the scenes because they've lost absolutely millions and millions and millions of dollars. However, they do have massive IP and they have many, many people working there. Aspire is part of Embracer now, right? So the people who are doing Knights of the Old Republic, they're part, and then it's been handed over, rumored to be Saber Interactive, who is definitely part of Embracer because they just put out Dead Island 2. So it's one of those things. I think if you're looking forward to Knights of the Old Republic, you're probably best for just going to play the original at this stage, unless you want to wait a long, long time, because this game is long. This is probably going to become vaporware.
It feels like Embracer just then.
They're messed up.
They're trying to do the quantity over quality thing, and I don't think that works in the gaming industry at the moment. Like, you need a bit of quantity, but when you're charging the prices for what you are for games, and it's an expensive outlay for an expensive hobby, you've got to have the quality there. Otherwise, you just go play something else.
Yeah, there's such a gap left at the moment as well between Uncharted and Tomb Raider not having a game like that. Like, just like that's my favorite type of game, and it doesn't exist at this moment.
I still just went and Embracer. I just don't trust that the games will be good. Dead Island 2 was a surprise that it was good.
It was. Actually, I've Dead Island 2. I might go chip away, play some more, but I did enjoy what I played.
Yeah, I want them to do well.
I do.
Because I think they've got some great IP and they just need to figure out what the magic sauce is for them.
The magic sauce. Speaking of magic sauce, Ubisoft looking to rekindle theirs as Assassin's Creed Mirage does super, super well. Ubisoft apparently became a little bit brazen with their advertisement campaigns once again. People who play one of the older titles in Assassin's Creed Odyssey may have noticed an advertisement promotion for Black Friday showing up within the game, asking them to take advantage of Black Friday sales and pick up Assassin's Creed Mirage for 20% discount. Ubisoft have since reached out and responded and said the situation we've been made aware of. Players encountered a pop-up during playing certain titles yesterday. This was a result of a technical error that we addressed as soon as we learned of the issue. So
I call bullshit.
Absolutely call bullshit. This stuff doesn't happen by error.
There's been rumours for years that Ubisoft and other companies, I think EA has been rumoured as well to do stuff like this, to put in adverts within games during normal gameplay. And when I'm talking about EA, I'm not talking about advertisement hoardings around the football pitch, because that's just expected to be there. I mean, like actual pop-up, Brit gets in front of the game sort of stuff. There's been rumours about this sort of stuff for years. Ubisoft, we know, are doing a lot of restructuring, a lot of trying to figure out how to make themselves good and financially stable. And then suddenly this comes up. They've been playing with this idea. I think they've put it out there to see what gauge reaction.
And evidently it was bad.
But yeah, because why would it be good?
It's one of them. They have a bad trait for it, don't they? Like when you pause the menu in Ubisoft games now, especially Assassin's Creed ones, they do often kind of lean you towards buying Ubisoft coins and credits for cosmetics, which they have their place, but I do appreciate it more when they're hidden within a sub-menu. I don't want to pause a game where I'm playing in ancient Egypt and it pops up recommending to go buy and play a game set in a different generation or a time. It's like it breaks the immersion a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I'm playing a game, which I know it's never like, that.
I always think Ubisoft, it feels like they're making games for one set of gamers, like likes of you and me, but then they're putting tactics in that appeal to the more games as a service kind of sort of stuff. People like people who are used to playing multiplayer games would expect. But when you're playing a single player game like Assassin's Creed, I don't want to be seeing like Helix points and stuff crap. No, oh, do you want to buy some Helix? No, I don't. I just want to play the bloody game. Like that, I've already paid you for the game. Get out my way. It's like it feels like there's a bit of disconnect in what the games are making and how they're trying to sell them. And when they make games as a service, no one's interested. So
evidently, I mean, we're still waiting on Skull and Bones, aren't we? So we'll
just double down on what you do well, Ubisoft.
Yeah, maybe they'll get the memo eventually once they've stopped doing their is their cryptocurrency thing still a thing? Ubisoft Quartz, was it called?
Yeah, something like that. It was NFTs, wasn't it?
NFTs, yeah.
I think that's went quiet because it got a lot of backlash.
And no one's buying it. But it's funny you should mention EA, actually, pivoting away to EA, who are not doing a paid thing. We actually got the news this week that if you're a fan of the new FIFA rebranded FC24, as many of you sports fans will know, the upcoming international competition Euro 2024 is coming next summer. And EA have confirmed with a nice little teaser trailer that EA Sports FC24 players will be able to experience the full competition, UEFA's Euro 2024, from the comfort of their own home thanks to a free in-game update. This update arrives next summer to coincide with the event itself and will be available across all platforms. Additionally, anyone who's played EA Sports by the 16th of January will be granted a one-off superstar in the Ultimate Player Team pack. Don't know what that means. Go pick up your game cards or whatever. And it's going to cover all the teams that have now... the qualifications are locked in pretty much now, aren't they, for the Euros?
I think most of them. There's like kind of playoffy stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, I've seen a few things where if like one team actually has to lose to qualify because of the way the points and tally and ranks works. It's really weird. But we won't get into that here. So EA, Richie, not doing an EA and giving us update for free. Obviously, in the past, we've had Euro 20 games. They've been like a standalone purchasable option. You get a whole different game.
It's been quite a while though since I've done that. This update they have done quite recently, and I think was it World Cup 2022 was just same again as a free update. It's because I think it's just effectively what they're doing is putting out a few like new graphics together to cover the tournament, and then just using a pre-built tournament. But so I think it's fine. Like I think it's a good thing to do. Like, and even like. I wish they'd actually just focus. I find it hard to talk about EA Sports FC without going, come on, guys, career mode. It's why people like the game to begin with. Can you just put a bit more effort in there?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
This is nice. It's like, I think because I'm such a career mode purist, it's nice to see extra stuff come to the game, but it's also stuff that I don't necessarily need to be there. It's good, enjoy it, like. And if they actually sort out the multiplayer so we could just like host a lobby and we could play with like the guild heroes, that'd be great. Yeah,
it kind of drives home the message that this is why FIFA could just be not FIFA. This is why FC24 could just be a platform, because if they can just do add a tournament in, then do the same for the World Cup, do the same for the early rosters, do the same for the kits and sponsorships, and like, let's face it, graphically it never really looks that different year on year anyway. So just give yourself time to incrementally improve it.
Not going to do that because they're just
it makes money.
They have the cake and eating it too. They have the cake in terms of the day one purchase. What is it, like 60, 70 quid at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
then they have people spending hundreds of pounds a month on Ultimate Team.
Absolutely, but good as it comes as a freebie, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Special shout out to when we're talking about individual. How long has it been? Shout out to 2002's FIFA World Cup game for the PlayStation 2.
I had the 98 one.
I adore this one. Me and my brother play this, and the memories I always have is you had like star players within each team, and when you played...
Oh, that's the crazy one, isn't it?
Yeah, when they ran, they had like speed lines behind them, and if it was your star player, it was a different one, and when you shot the ball, actually had like red speed lines behind it when it was like a power shot. Emil Heskey, Michael Owen up front for England back in the day. But what we loved the most about it is the two sponsors, the mascot, there was like an exclusive cartoon animated video of these players in a stadium. You can look up the video on YouTube. It's hilarious. They basically played, but the managers had the ability to create hotspots on the pitch, which would suck the players down under the pitch, and they'd go through this like tunnel of fire or something, and it would take them out of the game. So imagine being 1-on-1 with a defender, and the manager just goes, hotspot time, drops the defender, and he just threw on goal. Just like that. It's really, probably very poorly animated from back in the day. But some of the points. The only game that lets you take on the FIFA World Cup glory, officially licensed kits, all the official stadiums, anyone can pick up a player, but only few will master. Revolutionised airplay system allows you to take total control of the world's most skilled players and select your elite 23. Not too bad here. Look at some of the facial animations.
Yeah, do you know what the first FIFA game I ever played was? I bet you can't guess.
94 on the Sega?
Nope.
I don't know. I could just guess years. They don't really have a 94, 95, 96, 97.
It was FIFA International Soccer on the Panasonic 3DO.
Wow. I can't even imagine what that was. I had one
Yeah, it
where
was,
they look like there's like dots from above running around.
Yeah, I think it was like 1993, so it's probably the same year. I was like, I think the first FIFA was 94, but I think this was like the international tournament version. And it
Right.
didn't have, I don't think they had the license for the current players because they had all like classic players.
I
But yeah, it
remember
was
that,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I used to remember it was so good especially on 94. That was always the funniest thing, was running away from, I don't know if you did it on 94, running away from the referee. So you could
Yeah.
foul, and then when the referee tried to book you, give you a card, you just ran away from him. And as long as you could keep out of his like line of sight, he could
Well,
never actually book you, and the game just let you run. You could run the full width of the pitch up and down because there was no stamina, so the
I
players
remember
just
being in
ran.
98.
It's almost like a game of, remember when you play like Tig or Tag or Manhunt or whatever with your friends as kids, and you found the person you were trying to catch, but to get away from them, you kind of did this jockeying back and forth where you never gained any ground on each other, and you just ran around constantly. And I remember doing it. It's probably like Gary Lineker or something at the time, just basically avoiding the ref, and me and my brother laughing my heads off because you could straight up just foul the keeper. If the goalkeeper had the ball ready for a kick out, you could just run up to him, press A, B, or whatever it was on the Sega, go through the bastard, and the referee would be like, "Wait, I'm going to give you a card." And you just used to run away from him for eternity. And if you look on YouTube now for, it's on the video feed, by the way, if anyone wants to watch this on the audio, just search for FIFA 94, run away from the referee. And there's a full, 3-minute video of just the referee trying to catch, I'm just going to go Gary Lineker, who never got a red card in his entire career, which is the big irony of that. But we digress on our FIFA talk here. Shout out to FIFA, formerly known as, anyway. Right, Richie, what other little stories have we got, aside from all of the controversy of Knights of the Old Republic being dead and Ubisoft? South Park. We haven't spoke about South Park that often on this channel.
We're trying to avoid controversy by going to South Park.
Yeah, let's avoid. They've always been a staple of honesty and genuine humour there over on that show. South Park Snow Day has had its first official trailer. For those who don't remember, South Park Snow Day is a multiplayer cooperative. I don't even know what else you'd say. It's not a shooter because you're throwing like snowballs and stuff at each other.
I don't know. I've watched the trailer about 3 or 4 times now, and I still don't fully get what this game is.
Yeah, it's made by THQ Nordic, so it's part of the Embracer Group, so that should always worry you. It's not a Ubisoft game. I don't think this has had much involvement from Matt or Trey.
Which is weird because they're usually all over everything South Park. They're usually quite protective of the IP in a kind of good way, though, because they were very heavily involved in the Ubisoft games.
They were. This strikes me as Crash Team Rumble meets South Park.
I think it might be more. Is it more of an action adventure game though? I don't think it's like a party game thing. I don't think it's PvP.
Well, the description just says, "Hold on to your hat. South Park Digital Studios and THQ Nordic have released a brand new trailer for South Park Snow Day. As the new kid in town, you will join Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny in this 3-dimensional adventure."
Yeah, so
that's it.
At the moment, the Steam tags say action adventure, action RPG, and action adventure, but they can be used. They are user defined, and the game's not out. So I'm thinking it's more. I'm guessing it's going to be like a linear action adventure game where you play, you build a character and you play, and it's 4-player co-op. So,
we'll see more about that when it comes out soon. But trailer usually means it's not too far away. Final quick stories, because we've touched on Hogwarts Legacy. Final story for the week then is Warhammer Space Marine 40,000 Space Marine has been delayed till the back half of 2024. That seems okay, fitting. It's Cerberus, so we're actually in the Embracer family once again. This game from the extended gameplay we saw earlier on this year looks fantastic, and I remember can you remember the pop we got when we watched it at I think it was Summer Games Fest?
Yeah, it was good.
It came up and it looked great, and I said to you, it looked like Space Marine from the PS3 era, and it was but obviously it's been so long. And then it was the sequel to that game, well over probably a decade later. Visually looked great. Warhammer is such a cool IP that doesn't really get utilized in cross-platform media, and we know Henry Cavill is at the front of a new series on Amazon as a big massive nerd.
It does get used, but it tends to be in a bit. It hasn't really got its mass market yet.
It's not broken through.
The potential. Yeah, there's things like Vermintide and stuff which was quite fun. It doesn't I don't think it's got that one big hit, whether it's a TV show or movie or an anime or game, where people go, it like really pierces through into the mainstream consciousness.
Yeah. But again, this is if Cavill's backing a full Amazon thing and he knows his stuff because he's a big giant nerd, big giant sexy nerd, I should say. But then you've also got Space Marine coming in tomorrow and next year. I'm glad they're taking the time because I think Embracer needs some wins where they can get them, and I think Space Marine's got a good bit of energy behind it, a good bit of legacy, and it visually just looks great and fun. So, and Focus Entertainment generally have some good hits as publisher as well. The Plague Tale series.
I hope in this game you get a lot of customization options. Because I mean, you want to try and invoke the kind of like the tabletop game that stuff, so you can like design your own color scheme for your Space Marines.
Yeah, I want a unique. Again, the costumes again lend themselves to it so well.
I want to be able to like, if you think of like when you buy like a Space Marine, you get all the little parts and you can like paint every single one of them. I want to be able to do that in the game. Every single have customizations for every single part of the armor.
Yeah, I want my Space Marine to be ultramarine blue. That was always my favorite.
Just play the ultramarines.
That was always my favorite blue. I can't remember painting Warhammer back in the day. Like when you get this very specific pots of paint and being just like, why do I need that color instead of this color?
I think I had like 2 kits. I think I was bought some Chaos Marines, and it's like, these are so expensive. And when you're like 8.
Oh yeah, you've got no money at all. I remember getting a great deal on when they started doing the Warhammer Lord of the Rings stuff. They did them with the magazine, and with issue 1, you got like 12, maybe a few more Urukai. I went out and bought about 10 issues of that magazine entry to get the free Urukai to essentially make an army. So I think it didn't cost like $99, like $1.99. It was probably realistically, but it only cost me like £10-12, and I had a mini army of Urukai. But if you went out and bought them from the shop, like just normally, would have cost me probably £100 plus. But Richie, that's all we've got time for on this week's show. Rounding out, as we always do, by looking back at this day in video game history. We're recording it late this week because, as I mentioned, I was at a family wedding, so we've only been able to record on the Sunday, the 26th of November. So if you are listening as a member, you usually do get this quite early, so apologies that it's up later in the week. Looking back at November 26th throughout history, not great one so far, looking down the list. Dynasty Warriors 3. Back in the PS2 era, 22 years ago, back in 2001, is probably my standout one. Anything for you, Richie, jump out?
No, not really, to be honest. I'm going to actually look at Saturday's game just to see if there's a better day. Because we are recording this on a Sunday, so sometimes it's a quieter day.
But it won't have been a Sunday this time in history, because Sundays change, right?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
So it could have been any day of the week across multiple years. It's just the 26th is not a good day on any calendar year, evidently.
No, but I think last week was pretty solid.
Oh, last week was amazing.
Tomorrow, November the 27th, so Monday when you're listening to this, the Dreamcast came out.
Ah, shout out to the Dreamcast. 25 years ago in 1998, it launched in Japan. Solid choice. But yeah, bit of a quiet few days for this one.
There's one game I am interested in playing at some point in the future, eventually, and that's Ys Memories of Selketa. It's one of the well-regarded Ys games, and I've only played 2 of them, and I enjoyed both of them.
When did that launch?
Quite a while ago. I think it was a Vita game, actually.
Oh, was that the ones that got a remake, reboot kind of deal recently?
Yeah, it was 10 years ago, so 2013.
Nice. And keeping in the Warhammer realm then, Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon released on PC 9 years ago as well to round out our Warhammer chatter. But that does bring us to the end of this week's episode of the GamerGuild Podcast. We'll be back next week as we are every single Monday live here. The video goes up on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and on your podcast platform of choice. Rob may be back next week. We'll have to check in on how his business fared throughout Black Friday and if he's available for recording. He mentioned when we were out last week drinking that he's looking forward to getting back into it because he feels like he's missed out being away.
He's basically been working 7 days a week recently.
Yeah. Hopefully he's had some time to play some video games actually. Like we have. I'm probably going to pick up either Alan Wake or something else. We'll see. I'll let you know on next week's show as I go play my PlayStation Portal. Richie, You have a good week. You guys watching along, have a good week out there. We'll see you next time. And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
Like, subscribe, do all that jazz. We'll see you next week, folks. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.